on up here. Here you go. Sean Welsh, ladies and gentlemen. Get on up here, Sean.
All right, keep it going for Ray. Keep it going for Ray. Ray's a little tired tonight. He had a long night. Some beautiful girl was pounding on his door all night long, so finally he let her out. I noticed I missed a call from Ray, and I called him back, and I said, Ray, you called? And he said, oh, I must have butt dialed you. And I said, that's pretty impressive, because Ray still has the old rotary phone. I was like, oh, only you, Ray. You can't find a better friend than Ray. Unless you need a favor or something, you know. But I was thinking about my dad the other day. When I was young, he used to rake the leaves, spend all day raking the leaves into a big pile. And he'd say, "Sean, go jump in the leaves," and I would, and he'd brush the flames off me. He's my dad was schizophrenic, but he was good people, you know. I remember I didn't hug my dad till I was 21 years old, the first time I hugged my dad. And I remember it being awkward. And looking back on it, I think I know what made it awkward. It was the nudity, I think. Maybe. And my mom, she was cool. I remember when I was a kid, she used to get me to eat by saying, open your mouth, the train's coming. Open your mouth, the train's coming, hurry up. And I'd always eat it, because otherwise she'd leave me tied to the tracks. You know, I'm a recent widower, if everything went right. But I was sitting in traffic yesterday, and I got ran over. Don't sit there. It's not a good place to sit. Somebody asked me, they said, if you could be with any woman, alive or dead, what would you choose? And I said, definitely alive. I think I would have to say, yeah. Let's see. I was wearing last time I was up here, I was wearing a Barry Bonds jersey, and people would come up to me and say, "Why are you wearing a Barry Bonds jersey? You know, he did steroids. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame and this and that." And I said, "Look, I don't condone steroids. You know, not at all. I learned my lesson with steroids. I haven't done steroids since I was a little girl. You know, and let's see. I made this girl breakfast in bed the other day, and then she starts getting mad at me, giving me all this, "Who are you? How'd you get in my house?" and all that shit. I was like, see if I do that again. Let's see. This morning I woke up and one of my testicles is swollen up. It's like three times the size of the other two. That ain't normal, is it? I should check it out. You know, I noticed that if you donate a kidney, they call you a hero. You donate 5 kidneys and they call the cops. But my new girlfriend, she's a model. Well, technically she's a mannequin. And she's anorexic too, but I've been seeing less and less of her lately. So, and she tells me the other day, she says, you know, Sean, you might not be the best looking guy in the world. You might not be the smartest guy in the world. You might not be the toughest guy in the world. That's all. I said, dang. And then she's mad at me. She gets mad because she said, "I can't believe you squirted me in the eye." I said, "I can't believe you stared at my dick that long." Haven't you ever done any gardening? When the hose moves, something's coming out of it. But I asked her the other day, I said, "You want to try one of those fantasy rape scenario things?" She said, "No way." I said, "Way to get the ball rolling." Wow. Let's see. If you catch me looking at my hand, it's because I'm not that smart. I don't have a traumatic brain injury. It's just one time in high school, I hit my head on some lockers and I got a concussion, and they didn't know for 3 periods that I had a concussion. That's how much I was bringing to the table. So, you know, I try to tell people I'm not that smart, and they're like, "I'm sure you're okay." And I'm like, "Look, we're about to have a conversation. I'm trying to give you a heads up." You know what happens when you mix human DNA with goat DNA? You get 86 from the petting zoo is what happens. Yeah, I went there. Do you know chickens die after they have sex? The ones I fucked did. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, go ahead and groan. You only had to hear it. I said it. Think how I feel. This is probably my last show. Shit. I had to take my grandpa to his doctor's appointment the other day, and I took him, and they told him that he had cancer and he had Alzheimer's. And on the way out, he looked at me and said, "Thank God I ain't got cancer." Let's see. Did you ever see that wallpaper? It looks like brick. Did you ever see that? I took some of that and I put it on a brick wall, and now it feels like real bricks. My girlfriend broke up with me, and so I stole her wheelchair. Guess who came crawling back? Yeah. You know what Disney movie has a real twisted backstory? The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Just watch it. You'll see it. Literally. Did you ever take a cell phone away from a little kid? It looks like he's been hit in the face with a shovel. He's just sitting there going, "I should have learned how to talk to people." But because of these cell phones, these kids can't tell time on a regular clock. Because they got the phone right there, and then it's... what if he becomes a fighter pilot? They're going to be like, "You got a bogey at 2 o'clock. He's going to be like, "That's in an hour." and because these kids nowadays, they got those trigger warnings and those safe spaces and what's that other nonsense? Hope. You know. When I met my girlfriend, she had one of those. What do you call those things? A baby. And she wouldn't let me hold it. She's like, "You'll drop them." I was like, "Yeah, I don't think I've ever held a baby I didn't drop." You know, they're resilient. But, yeah, you know, I got dropped. Look at me. I heard recently they just took pandas off the endangered species list. So hopefully, with any luck, we're finally going to get to find out what panda tastes like. Yeah. Somebody said if we'd had a woman president, we wouldn't have any more war. And I said, no, I think we'd still have war. It's just whoever we were fighting wouldn't know why we're mad at them. You know. I told my uncle, I said, "Man, I got fucked up last night and I lost my phone." And he said, "Oh, I used to do that when I was your age." And I said, "Really? You gotta get pretty wasted to lose a landline." I visited my childhood home, and I even went up to the door and knocked on it and said, "You know, can I come in and look around? I'm feeling a little nostalgic." And they slammed the door in my face. You know, fucking hate my parents. I know I need to gain some weight. I realized that today when I was cutting through the park and the ducks started throwing me bread. I said, "Wow." Let's see. Took my first dick pic today, but I didn't have a phone or a camera, so I saw this girl on the sidewalk and I just pressed it up against a bus window. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not allowed on the bus. Are you crazy? No, but I did. I took my first dick pic, and there was a ghost in the background of the dick pic. You know, how often does that happen? I wanted to show everybody. But it wasn't the greatest dick pic, if you know what I mean. And because then the ghost is really tall, and he was holding a ruler up next to it. I was like, hey, you know, he was a jerk. You know. Let's see. Did you ever see those late night commercials? I can't stand those. Can't sleep on that old mattress. And you know, I was like, really? Who can't sleep on a mattress? I fell asleep on a ladder once. You know, who can't sleep on a? Or if I have to watch that other commercial, that one that's trying to sell you a product that makes your dick bigger. I swear to God, I see one more of those and I'm gonna go broke. I had a friend who used to do porn, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, how'd you get into doing porn?" And he said, "Well, my girlfriend came over and she sat on my lap and kind of wiggled around and she said, 'Hey, you should do porn.'" And I said, "Really?" My girlfriend came over, sat on my lap, kind of wiggled around and said, "Hey, you should tell jokes." Yeah. Anyway, let's see. I guess that's my time. Thank you guys. You guys are great.
Sean Welsh, there he is, sir. You guys have a